So I'm here with Joe Turner. Joe, thanks for giving us some time today. You were third at the Nationals.
Yep.
Which was just finished, wasn't it, 2 days ago?
That's
so
right.
You've got the main event starts tomorrow.
Yep.
Where do you reckon you're going to come?
My goal was top 10. I'm just going to hold that. I think Nationals was a bit of a funny event. A few people weren't really there. Rob Goff unfortunately had a DNE, so you know there's really that 10 bunch of guys that are all up for contention. So I've never really raced in a regatta where it's been such good competition in that top 10, especially in a dinghy class and especially in like a Formula One sailing class like this.
And these are, I mean, in some ways, this is going to be like the shortest World Championship because the races are over so quickly, aren't they? I mean, it's how long is a race going to last? Half an hour maybe?
Feels like it goes for 3 hours, but yeah, I think the target length's 35 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose watching them, they go pretty quick, but when you're on the water, they do feel like they're about an hour.
And a lot of very fit, very expert dinghy sailors seem to get into Moths, come off the water, and say they've never been so exhausted. And yet there's no trapeze-wires, there's only one sail.
Yep.
It doesn't look like a very big physical boat. The thing, there's no resistance, it's out of the water. But why is it such a physical boat to sail? So why is fitness such a big gig with a Moth?
I'd like to be able to explain it, but everything's just so much so critical now. Like you heel to windward. If you heel a little bit too far to windward, you know you're losing 20-30 meters, and that means that as soon as you start heeling into windward, you've got to literally get up out of your hiking position, go from this position back into the middle.
And that's all
and
top of your thighs, stomach muscles,
it's everything.
it's all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my weaknesses is fitness. You'll see a lot of people not doing foiling tacks anymore because they do take a lot of energy out of you to run through, pop the battens and get the boat going again. You'll see people doing a more conservative tacks where they will just come down, they'll go through, come down and pop back on the foils.
Just to maintain their bodies, really.
Yeah, it's just an efficient form of tacking, value for money type thing. You can get back on the foils and get back up to boat speed relatively quick and not take too much out of you.
Now, you're sailing Mach 2 like all the top contenders are, I think pretty much. Maybe Dave Lister's one of the few potential race winners that's not in a Mach 2.
There's the Luca Damic's Scalpel
Luca's
as
boat,
well, which was featured a little bit yesterday in the Nationals.
So there'd be Luca, there'd be
Dave's
boat, Dave Lister's boat, and otherwise it's really Mach 2s.
That's
so
right.
This is a standard Mach 2, but I see you've got black tramps. Any reason for that? They look
I
pretty
just
cool.
I just thought they looked good.
They do look good, I think you're right.
Yeah, I just wanted to be.
They get pretty hot here in the heat of Australia, don't they?
Yeah, got to watch my bladder pressure here.
Yeah, that's the bladder there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
the
right.
bladder, not
Yeah.
this bladder.
No, that's
and
right.
I know your boat's pretty tricked. You've had this for a little while. Is there? Can you, without giving any secrets away, can you just show us one thing that you've done that might be a little different to other people, or is something a favourite little mod of yours?
Yeah, look, there's not really a whole lot of difference. So
What about that blue handle over there? That looks different.
Oh yeah, okay. One of the new things I'm trying for this regatta is the in-haul, which basically go around the top mark, and it really only works in light conditions. I blow the outpull and then pull this on, and it basically deepens the bottom of the sail.
Back in,
That's right.
Yeah. And you get a whole lot of return off your bottom leach.
That's
is
right.
That what you're after?
Yeah, I run an MSL 10, which is the flatter version of the KA sails. I run that all through the wind ranges, so I need to control that and force a bit more depth in that.
Okay.
In the lighter stuff, especially in the Nationals, it was a little light, so I was having to force a bit of power into that.
And are you altering rate depending on wind conditions?
Look, very, very slightly. Yeah, not a whole lot. I try and keep it relatively simple. If you start throwing in more and more variables, there's already a couple of hundred variables. You start, throwing things like that in there, you can just lose track of stuff.
Now, one of those variables, but all the top contenders have got it, is this little device down here, isn't it? Which is the ride height controller. I'm not sure we can pick that up on the camera. This little fella here.
Yep.
Now, this obviously allows you to change the height of the boat as you're going along. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
How often are you changing that, and why do you change it?
That look, I'm changing that. Like say in a 10-12 knot race, I'm playing that almost as much as I'm playing my main sheet. Like I'm literally would be changing it maybe every 20 metres, every 50 metres, definitely tack to tack.
Yes.
Lowering myself a little bit in the gusts.
Yes.
So basically is your neutral point of where you want to fly.
Yes.
For me, I'm a little bit scared of flying low, so I'm always on the edge of basically wiping out with the rudder, so I'm always flying too high almost, you could say.
Right.
But
So if you're adjusting this every 20 meters or so,
maybe every
or whatever it
50,
is,
100 meters,
or
like
whatever,
all the
but-
time
but
in a
lot.
light race.
You're adjusting that, and you're adjusting the main sheet. How many hands have you got
Yeah, not
as
enough.
a tiller?
Not enough.
How are you doing that?
Yeah, so just
Just
literally
drop it, lift it up, drop it, lift it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So I'm running it out here, so hiking and sailing along, and all of a sudden your pressure drops off a bit and you drop down a bit. So you're basically holding the tiller and the main sheet with one hand, and I'll wind myself up a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
I could see that. I could see you doing that in a straight line training, particularly with people like Tom and with Nathan. What happens when you're on a racetrack? I mean, do you get to a point where you suddenly remember that you've forgotten about your competitors? I mean, can you get so locked into
yeah, absolutely. And
all these controls that you
Yeah.
kind of forget the shift or forget the advantage side or something?
yeah, look, this is just when you're locked in a speed situation. You've got to obviously have your priorities right and making sure that you're heading in the right direction. You're not sailing off the course. This is, I suppose, an important control, but obviously there are a lot more other important things.
Yeah, 112 Moths. There's a lot of competition out there, isn't it?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I guess choosing the side is going to be pretty key. Have you got any weather information? Have you guys kind of got together and getting some help from up there with the satellites or anything like that?
No, look, nothing fancy. We just sort of look on Seabreeze and
Just do the usual.
have a look what we got, and it's going to be the same for everyone. We don't have any fancy rigs or anything that change from weather conditions. We just come down to the club and
Just get out there and race.
absolutely,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, thanks for your time and very
No
best
worries.
of luck. Your boat looks fabulous. It's probably the best prepared boat we've seen so far. So
Yeah,
we'll
put a
give you
lot of
our
time into
unofficial
it.
prize for that. We haven't really got one, but maybe we'll give you a nice Zhik cap or something. Anyway,
Perfect.
thanks for your help.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks.